and let us all do we can to build a better future. Look, we got to talk about the Hunter Biden laptop. As we have talked about on previous shows, New York Times, Washington Post finally confirmed that it's real. Now, you're probably saying, well, wait, hold on, Heartlands Media. You talked about this, as had Jimmy Dore, Graham Elwood. We got also Glenn Greenwald, Aaron Mate, Nico House, the Convo Couch. Everybody's been talking about the fact, again, that we were right in 2020. And remember, in 2020, Twitter and Facebook did everything they could to halt the New York Post from sharing that article about the Hunter Biden laptop.
Yes.
And you couldn't share it on your social media. So that's raising some alarms. Now, Nomiki Konst, who, again, always calls out Jimmy Dore for being on Fox News, shows up again on Fox News to talk about the laptop. But I have to say, her analysis on it...
That's a good point. Like, she does always complain about him going to the same place she is. It's a different show. It's a different show.
Right,
it's completely different.
But let's be clear about this. This Hunter Biden laptop, the Hunter Biden story laptop is real. And it is something that, again, everyone's talking about and will impact the Democrats in the 2022 midterm election cycle. This is something that needs to be talked about. And once again, it shows the failure of corporate media because they did everything they could to cover it up. Matt Orfalea did a great compilation video showing corporate media saying the story is not real, only now for it to be real. And Nomiki Konst's analysis on this clear evidence, she brings up Trump in all of this.
Well, if Trump said it, it does nothing else matters.
But the thing is, this is a failure. And again, it shows why, again, outlets like Fox News, CNN, MSNBC are really just at this point a reality TV show and reactors, as Daniel has pointed out. They're reactors. And look at this analysis. Let's play this video again. Shout out to Case Study QB.
Now, Doug Collins, former Georgia congressman, Nomiki Konst, former Bernie Sanders national surrogate. Great to see you both. Doug, I'm going to start with you. Get your initial reaction to some of the latest developments in this Hunter Biden case.
Well, the latest developments continue to just show a pattern that we've been talking about for a long time that show that there was business dealings that Hunter Biden had with China. We saw it with Ukraine, and that there seems to be a stronger and stronger connection between Hunter and his father. When you understand that, then you begin to piece this thing together, and how Democrats can continue to hide and try to behind the lie that Hunter Biden and his dad had never talked about this is just false, because we're seeing more and more evidence of it, even back to old pictures that show them together with these business people. It just doesn't make sense.
Nomiki.
Listen, the Republicans can try to turn Hunter Biden into Hillary's emails, but it's not going to distract away from the love affair that Donald Trump and his family have with Putin. Ivanka testified yesterday.
Let's pause it right here. All right. Trump did talk about the Hunter Biden laptop during the election, but Trump with his laptop, he's no longer president. He has nothing to do with this story. And again, it's a typical WWE kind of grudge match that we always see on Fox News or CNN, where, oh, I got to bring up talking point A, B, and C so that they can bring up 1, 2, 3. I know it sounds childish to really even talk about it like this, but here's the thing. This, again, is not talking about the issue about the Hunter Biden laptop. And the story, again, is CNN, MSNBC, CBS, ABC, Washington Post, New York Times. They all said that the story was fake. It was fake, and they did coverage for the Democratic Party. This is something that happened. It's a failure on all levels. Nomiki bringing up Trump. Look, I understand everyone has Trump derangement syndrome. It's who knows whether truly or not he runs again in 2024. We will be surprised if he doesn't do that. But then again, you can't use a scapegoat of Trump all the time. This is a failure of the Democrats and, of course, the Biden family and a lot of their shady business dealings. Not just only in Ukraine, but all over the place. And the laptop is real. It never was a fake news story. It is a real story. And again, corporate media failed. So what is Nomiki trying to do here? It's, again, trying to use outrage, saying the name of the orange boogeyman known as Donald Trump.
And she's doing it on Fox. It's like, okay, this goes back to the last time we talked about Nomiki, and I'll say the same thing I said then as a preface. She knows that she gains clout when she goes on Fox. That's why she does it consistently. And the reason that they always have her back on is she always spouts the exact same predictable talking points that everyone else would say on NBC. So they already know before, without even having to do any prep work, just knee-jerk from their own station as anchors. They know exactly how to respond to her because they know exactly what she's going to say, but she's going to say the same thing that everyone else on NBC says, which is why they keep bringing her back, because they keep, from their audience's perspective, owning her, because from their audience's perspective, they are. And every time that she talks about Trump, she's using a talking point, again, that would maybe work on NBC, but if you're on Fox News, it does the opposite. All she's really doing, if I put myself in the mind of an average Fox News viewer, my thought is, wow, Trump is still very powerful. He's still scaring all the libs.
So let's play the rest of it.
Yeah, so she's a regular on Fox, is what you're saying.
Yes.
Yeah,
okay.
and she yells at other people like Jimmy Dore for going on Fox News. And Glenn Greenwald for going on Fox News.
Interesting.
Yeah,
I know.
Wow.
It's because, remember,
I didn't know any of this.
It's, again, you have to
I know who Nomiki Konst is, but I didn't know that she was a regular on Fox or anything like that.
As generic as you get. You're gonna, when you listen to her talk, you're gonna hear, that's stuff that you'd hear on NBC.
Yeah,
I don't really hear unique point of view and a voice. And there was one time in a previous one where she did start to talk a little bit about wealth and income inequality, and they kind of interrupted her, and she kind of just backed away and then went back to talking points.
Yeah, okay.
Let's play the rest of the video.
But yesterday, for 8 hours over the January 6th
were you in the room?
Terrorist attacks. This is all a big distraction.
Were you there? Because you don't know what was said. And there have been many people to go before that commission, and you don't know what was said.
Yeah.
It's
kind of an elementary school. Do you know what was said in it?
But they know exactly how to respond to her, and she's completely off track now.
You want things to be equal. They looked at that family in the last administration with a microscope. Don't you want this to be looked at? Doug, I'll come back to you.
And they still are. The relationship that Trump has with Putin is very relevant to the news today. I mean, we're criticizing
I know reflexively
Putin.
You want to go backwards, but we got to go
existential
forward.
crisis right now is Russia. Yeah, we're in the middle of there's a conflict in Russia between Russia and Ukraine right now, and Trump has a connection to Russian oligarchs. I think that's very relevant.
And what connection does Hunter Biden have to the person or the country that Russia went to for help? China. Doug, I come back to you.
Wait.
Wow, what an obsession. I mean, you talk about the Democrats flaming up.
Let's pause here. Okay, so when I was originally watching this, not knowing that Nomiki was a regular on Fox News, I was just like, I was so embarrassed for her. Now I'm not embarrassed for her at all, watching this and understanding that, like, oh, like, that's her role, right? And so that's cool, right? That's fine. But it's just, it's just so funny watching her struggle. I feel, especially if she's a regular on the show, I feel like there are way more manipulative and smart ways to go about getting the audience on your side and then still fully expressing your distaste of Trump and what's going on legally on that end. You can totally
and she's not doing it.
Yeah, no, she's doing an awful job of that. See, I was thinking when I first watched this, just so that you guys can kind of see the lens that I was looking through, it was just like, oh wow, Nomiki, like you don't look good, girl. You don't look good. Right? And like, oh, you kind of got owned. Like, that's not good.
No, it's not.
You gotta get like.
She should know how this works. Like again, we've met her. We met her when.
I've gotten to meet her too. That's why I know her.
She's not a stupid person.
No,
she knows that there are better arguments to be made, but she's fitting a role.
She's fitting a role.
She's going on Fox, not making good points because that's why they'll bring her back because she's the punching bag on the left that they can bring on to make those same points.
And I'm a real time, like, that's what happens when people are watching this and they don't know who she is or what's going on or, who, like what the left actually believes. It's a mind F.
And again, to bring back to what Kit was saying, she chews out Glenn Greenwald and Jimmy Dore for going on. She's helping promote Fox News' business model, and Jimmy Dore goes on to like Tucker and's like, "Hey, maybe we shouldn't be doing war." And it's like, "How dare you say such things?"
The anger toward Jimmy, from what I understand, again, like I obviously watched none of this, but from what I understand, the anger toward Jimmy in regard to is that Jimmy will go on there and agree with them, which is exactly what Nomiki should have done there. She should have said, "Yeah, nepotism is bullshit. And I think that we should get to the bottom of it for all parties, everybody involved, because when you have, look at this Hunter Biden situation, it kind of does look like he got favors because of who his daddy is. And the same with the Trumps. I mean, can you believe what they did?
Yeah, same thing with the Bushes,
Boom!
the Clintons, the Kennedys, the Obamas, all of them.
You can help them as long as you don't agree with them.
Yeah.
Again, but you look at her, she's just an NBC talking point. Yeah. And again, if she just does that, all she's doing more detriment to the Democratic Party than Jimmy is, ironically enough.
Well, yeah. That sounds like my mom. Well, yeah. My mom is German, so it's just really funny. I say it's the same thing she does. Anyway, let's go on.
All right, let's continue the rest of the video because this is embarrassing for Nomiki, you know?
I mean, it kind of isn't anymore.
Yeah, it is.
Because it's like, if that's the role she plays, then if she doesn't feel embarrassment, then I can't feel embarrassed for her.
Yeah. She's making money.
Yeah, she's making money.
Yeah.
She's building clout. She's getting Twitter followers. And she gets to say that she said the talking points to the bad people at Fox.
Let's go and play the rest of it.
Saying this is exactly why so touchy about Hunter Biden. Why so touchy that you have to scream back to your Trump did this, Trump did that. No, answer the question. You're not answering the question. The question is about Hunter Biden and his deals and why that's not being investigated and why the president himself in a debate said why a president. I sat quietly through your rant.
Nomiki, let him speak. Go ahead, Doug.
I sat quietly through your rant. Okay, here's the problem. The president himself said he didn't have any deals, did any discussions. We're seeing that proven wrong. And then when you have the White House chief of staff say, undoubtedly Hunter did nothing wrong, did he all of a sudden become the attorney general? Again, this is something that needs to be investigated, and your reaction shows exactly why people do not trust what's going on with Hunter Biden right now.
Yeah. All right, let me get to this. And Nomiki, I'll come back to you first. Hold on one second. President Obama was back at the White House yesterday, striking an upbeat tone. He had so much energy. Everybody was all excited. You watch the videos
Keep Trump's
on YouTube.
name out your damn mouth.
Terrible polling for President Biden. And a bit of advice on the midterm.
You can talk shit about Trump all you want. They're making good points now because of that.
Yeah, exactly. She's just helping him out.
Yeah, she just helped him out.
She could have just sat there and gone, would have been better.
I heard some changes have been made by the current president since I was last year. Apparently, Secret Service agents have to wear aviator glasses now. The Navy mess has been replaced by a Baskin-Robbins.
Mr. President, what do you say to Democrats worried about the midterm? What do you tell Democrats worried about the midterm?
So all of that, I mean, it looked like he was actually.
Let's actually pause it here because I want to bring this up in the next story segment. So we'll talk about Biden and Obama stealing his spotlight. But look, this is going to severely impact the Democrats in the midterm election cycle. The Hunter Biden laptop, inflation, failed promises that they couldn't follow through on in the year of 2021. The Democrats are walking into this disaster. And all these quote-unquote people with the coveted, oh so precious, blue checkmark, who told everyone, you got to vote blue, no matter who. And we'll be able to push Biden to the left. We'll hold his feet to the fire. We can do that. All that praise, all that BS. Everyone went to brunch. Everyone's saying things are good now. The orange boogeyman is gone, but they keep talking about the orange boogeyman because that's the only thing that gets them clicks and likes because let's face it, corporate media and its views are going down because they don't have the orange boogeyman because Trump made CBS, MSNBC, CNN, ABC relevant again, including Fox News as well. So the thing is, this laptop story, we've talked about this on the show. It isn't a nothing burger. It is a real thing because it shows how incompetent and how, again, connected corporate media is to the two-party system, especially to the Democratic Party, because CNN, MSNBC, CBS, New York Times, Washington Post, and a lot of other trusted, authoritative outlet sources were saying that story was fake. Now, if this offends a lot of liberals and vote blue no matter who crowd, well, too bad, so sad. The laptop story is real, and corporate media covered it up. How can we have true journalistic integrity if these major outlets that people are supposed to trust are once again lying to cover things up? But we've seen this song and dance before. All of corporate media was saying the same thing before the invasion of Iraq. There are WMDs in Iraq. Oh, wait, there were no WMDs in Iraq. None whatsoever, unless you're talking about painting of Scud missiles in one of Saddam Hussein's palace. But no, that doesn't count because guess what? That's fake news. Russiagate as well. fake news, and so much more. We're only scratching the surface. And when Nomiki goes on Fox News and brings up the WWE talking points like, ooh, Orange Boogeyman, Team Red bad, it's not solving anything at all. And that's why, again, we see that get put into social media, which then causes more censorship, more echo chambers, people to be quote-unquote canceled. It adds nothing. So Daniel, Kira, with Daniel, we'll start with you. Kira, you'll close us out. What can we learn from this absolute failure debacle that we saw on Fox News and the fact that, again, the Hunter Biden laptop story is real?
I don't know. I'm just going to do a correlation point. It really doesn't mean anything, but it means more than what we just saw. It's interesting. Nomiki, I see a linear graph in my head where it's the lighter Nomiki's hair gets, the worse her talking points get over time. If you notice, it's a small thing, not really the main point.
Yeah,
I mean, it's just a correlation. I'm not saying there's constellation. I'm just saying that it's just weird as she goes on TV, she dyes her hair blonder and blonder. I'm not saying anything of it. I'm just saying it's an interesting thing that I'm noticing over time with her.
Jesus,
I'm not sure. Again, I don't know. Anyway, I didn't mean to. I was making an offhanded remark, and now it's an on-hand remark. Let's go back to the actual remark I was trying to make.
I mean, the very first thing I thought when the clip came up was, oh, Nomiki's blonde.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of a.
So, Kit, you're being something.
Kit just gets uncomfortable once you start talking about ladies' looks.
Which is ironic. Okay, so what was I getting at? Right, a point to be made. So here's the thing with the Hunter Biden laptop thing. It's just going to be a thing when Trump runs that anytime that they go after him or his family, that's the thing he's going to go about. And everything that they've thrown at him, from Russiagate to everything else that's happened, he has a counter for. And he has a lot more, I'm sure. He has a lot of determination, I think, this time to actually show he can win again. All that Nomiki and the ilk that are using this logic, all they're doing is giving him a better chance of winning. That's all they're doing, because they're building into every Fox News viewer's mind, the liberals aren't even or fair or honest or just. And here is an example in real time of them doing those things, not being those things, I should say. And what's that going to do? Well, it's going to make it a lot harder for people to be convinced of one thing or another when the election does happen. And so they're just shooting themselves in the foot. Meanwhile, again, I roll back to like someone like a Glenn Greenwald or a Jimmy Dore, who agree on the things that we agree with and disagree on the things that they don't. But they also, I don't know, buy into the audience, and then the audience buys into them. And it actually might change some people's minds. Which, I don't know, maybe I'm a little different than Nomiki on this one. I think that's a better outcome. Because when Jimmy Dore goes on the show, you know what doesn't happen? A Fox News viewer goes, man, I'm even more certain that my party is right. When Jimmy Dore goes on, he does do both parties are absolutely corrupt. And that's really hard for Tucker to deny. When that happens, he's like, yeah.
Yeah.
So, well, and especially to that audience, because I think that audience actually believes that it's just that there's really no mainstream outlet that's saying that explicitly. Like, actually, both parties are awful. Here's how we're going to paint that picture for you. You know, because I think that we can all safely say that the Republicans will just as easily like cover up what's going over there on their side and say, but look at the Democrats, right? They both do it. And what I've come to recognize, especially being a part of, Hardlines Media, is that pointing out the other side's hypocrisy doesn't actually get you to win. And maybe it'll get you to be able to drop a mic or to school someone or to really insult somebody or to be mean. But what are we trying to win here? Yeah. Is it an individual's ego that is the most important? Or is it actually changing a system? Because sometimes you gotta let go of your ego and actually say, you know what? You're right. Like, there is that going on.
It's so crazy. On both sides of the news environment, everything has been built up to. The trench warfare has been beautifully laid out over time, and that warfare is, that side's evil. We're not as bad as them. And the other side says, oh man, that side's evil. We're not as bad as them. They are not prepared for people to come up to both of them and go, both of you guys are idiots. Equally. I'm not picking a side. Both of you are stupid.
So, first of all, Daniel, Kira, great analysis and pointing it out. Look, here's the thing. If you vote Democrat or vote Republican, and you think that these politicians care about you, they don't. They don't think about you. Their number one constituents are their donors. Hedge funds, Wall Street executives, banks, corporations, the top 1%. You, the average voter, do not have a seat at the table. So, to Kira's point, we got to change the system. It's not about ego. Look, we all have our biases, our points of view, but the whole purpose of Hard Lens Media is to actually enlighten people, make people make their own decisions, and find out what's happening, okay? And we have a diverse audience. We have libertarians, we have Republicans, we have Greens, we have independents, we have Democrats. We have people who are tired of being burnt out by this neoliberal system. So, folks, we got to make our own decisions for ourselves, and we also have to call out the hypocrisy of corporate media, because if we don't start stepping up and doing it, taking a different path, nothing will fundamentally change.